Hello, welcome to the stream guys. Let me check कि भाई सबको सही चल रहा है नहीं चल रहा. Welcome to the stream guys. Everything is working fine. Okay. So today is 7th day of our NoCode tools, and let me know if you have any suggestion on something. And today we will talk about कि जहाँ पे हम कल रह गया था, कल हमारा मोस्टली रह गया था. No, if you have any suggestion on something. And today we will talk about our voice बड़ी अच्छी आ रही है वैसे. Sorry. आज एक तो कल जो हमने पोस्ट किया था वो वेरिएबल वाला वो चेक करना है. दूसरा लॉगिन वाली एपीआई है. लॉगिन वाली एपीआई देखनी है. होपफुली लॉगिन वाली एपीआई चल जाए. चलो स्टार्ट करते हैं. टेक्निकल नहीं लेने का. कुछ खास नहीं आता है यार उसमें. कर लेंगे. कर लेंगे. मतलब बेसिकली वही कि मोबाइल भी लगा लेंगे जरूरत पड़ी तो मुझे कुछ ऐसा लग रहा है क्योंकि एपीआई दिखती नहीं. हमारा मेन इशू एपीआई के लिए. प्यार है जो खुद कुछ भी नहीं लग रहा कुछ आया. नोटिफिकेशन तो आता जहाँ जीरो दिख जाए वहीं हमको. एक आदमी ने आंसर नहीं दिया यार. सच में फॉरम होना चाहिए. इनके क्या है. भैया है कि आपका वो निश्चित किया. ये तो पहले लर्निंग तो कर लें यार. नहीं कोई कुछ रिस्पॉन्स नहीं. अरे मैं अपना ओबीएस फिक्स कर लेता हूँ. बैकग्राउंड में दिख रहा होगा. इसलिए ये सही रहता है. बीच बीच में अपनी लाइव स्ट्रीम देखते रहो तो एटलीस्ट. यस. इसमें क्या इश्यू था. मैं तो मुझे कुछ अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है बिल्कुल भी. ये हो गया. 2 फीचर कम हो बट साला इतने फीचर नहीं होने चाहिए. मैं कोटो में आनी परेशान हो गया. इसके लिए मुझे डेफिनेटली श्योर होगी. इसके लिए अलग से वो निकलने वाली है. ऐप गाइवर एक्सपर्ट जैसे नोशन रिसेंटली नोशन ने लॉन्च किया है. नोशन कंसल्टेंट करके. तो उनका भी यही होने वाला है 2-4 साल. प्रीटी श्योर जिस हिसाब से फीचर बढ़ रहा है. इतना दिक्कत है कि सेल्फ लर्निंग मोड इरिटेट हो जाता है. अलर्ट अलर्ट. अरे टाइटल तो फिल है, एपीआई कॉल हुई। अरे यार ये वाला कैसे फेल है? हाँ इसमें भी तो था ना, ये बटन किया। हाँ सही तो है, ऐसा कस्टमर ऑब्जेक्ट में आते हैं ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाऊंगी। पेज में भी है, पेज पासवर्ड हो गया। पता नहीं ये सब क्यों आ रहा है भाई, ये क्यों आ रहा है? क्वेरी नेम, क्वेरी ईमेल, क्वेरी पासवर्ड, क्वेरी अंडरस्कोर नेम, क्वेरी अंडरस्कोर। ये मेरा पासवर्ड है बस स्कीमा में, ये ईमेल पासवर्ड और टोकन में ये है। गेट ही सर हम डिसेबल कर देते हैं यार। मेरा ईमेल ठीक है बट अभी कुछ लेट्स देखते हैं क्या सीन है। लॉगिन लॉन्च करते हैं। टेंशन मत लो, आज हम करके मानेंगे। क्या ही है इसे, 2 दिन बाद तो लगेंगे अपने को, इससे ज़्यादा कुछ भी नहीं करा। फेलियर, एक्सेस कोड डिनाइड, ये इसको तो इनवैलिड क्रेडेंशियल। ये हर चीज में इनवैलिड क्रेडेंशियल हो रहा है, किसको ईमेल वाला होना चाहिए। एक सेकंड, साइन अप ट्राई कर लेते हैं। ठीक है, फेलियर। और अब वो अंकल का वीडियो कॉल करते हैं, एपीआई कैसे लगाते हैं वो देखनी पड़ेगी कुछ, क्योंकि हमारा बड़ा काम। देखते हैं अपनी स्ट्रीम आती है या सर्च में कोई अवेलेबल।
The basics of Composer Pro by building View Canvas, where the first page up different components onto the View Canvas. Components are used to build your app's user interface and include familiar things like paragraphs, buttons, and images from the. We have our View Canvas. To the right, by opened. By clicking on the page view is streaming from my iPhone, and you can see what our finished app will look like. We have a list of to-do items we can check on and off, an input field by showing the new line component, rubbing it all the possible parts on an actual
अंकल वाला ज़्यादा बेटर था वीडियो, इसको नहीं है क्या?
Or I have a backend, make sure that the self-generated APIs do what the generated back to these ability records and do various in this back over. And I'm going to start with up into the mobile migration. So I'm going to switch back and paste it there, source, and I don't need to change anything. Is getting a collection I've created to the clip point URL, and it copies the URL of this API into the clipboard, and I'll paste it there. So at this point, I've created the base setup for the data resource, and where I'm going to start.
Let me use the login page.
Is getting a collection.
Yes, हम अभी क्या कर रहे हैं, हम दोबारा देख रहे हैं ट्यूटोरियल कि क्या मिसिंग है, क्योंकि मुझे लग रहा है कि एपीआई में कुछ मिसिंग है, एपीआई नहीं लगी है, क्योंकि हर बार उसी डेटा एरर दे रही है। एक बार सर्च करके गूगल पे AppGyver invalid credential। अभी What is Coursera?
The Git collection, and I don't need to change anything in here. I'm going to go to test and simply run test. And as you can see, I'm now calling from AppGyver through the API into Xano, collecting the 2 items that I created in the database and returning those. So to make it easy to know what variables to work with, I'm going to set the schema from the response.
ये हमारे भी नहीं आता है कभी भी पोस्ट टेस्ट रन टेस्ट ईमेल मैं वैलिड ईमेल देता हूँ पासवर्ड अच्छा रीड कर दूंगा तो ये सारे स्कीमा प्रिंट करके ये ऑटोमेटिकली कर लेता है ओहो एग्जांपल वैल्यू भी ले ली अब अगर मैं यहाँ पर रॉन्ग वो देता हूँ अच्छा मेक सक्सेसफुल स्टेटस ओके तो ये सक्सेसफुल को मानता है
And now I have AppGyver recognizing for this data resource those 4 fields. So now I'm going to switch back to one layer up. One thing I'll show you that's kind of a trick thing here is if I try to click on empty page, it's not doing anything. But if you look in the upper right of the screen, you see the save button bouncing. You have to remember to save when you're leaving across main navigation points. I still to this day forget to do that on occasion. Okay, so now where we're at is on the main screen of this app. And so I'm going to start assembling the user interface by putting a container there, which gives me control of margins more easily than just dropping components on the main page. And then I know I'm going to want this stuff to be scrollable. So I'm going to put a scrollable view into that container. And then I'm going to pick a list. Pretty common one is the large image list. And we'll drop that into the scroll view. So at this point, I have a page layout that I can see on the bottom right with a container that contains a scroll view that contains a list component. What I need to do now is create some variables on this page to support the data that I'm going to pull back through the API. My starting point for that is attaching a data variable for this page to the data resource I did in the main data navigation. You'll see it right here, to do. That is the data resource I created. I create it here, come over and look at the variable type, collection of data records. That's what I want to use. I'm not getting a single item and I'm not creating a new item. So
एक सेकेंड हम अगर अपना डेटा वेरिएबल में जाएं नहीं डेटा में नहीं ये वेरिएबल है डेटा में यूजर लॉगिन हाँ क्योंकि हम गेट ही नहीं तो एक बार इसको डिलीट कर लॉगिन
I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to introduce you to what is some of the data flow that Now, by default, every AppGyver gives you a delay mechanism here in the flow. Now, by default, AppGyver gives you a delay mechanism here. Now, by default, AppGyver gives you a delay mechanism here in the flow. So every 5,000 milliseconds or every 5 seconds, it'll make this call again. I'm going to go ahead and leave that for now, but a consideration you want to have is if you have a detailed screen of data where you might be doing edits, it's best to remove this delay, in my opinion, such that it doesn't type people out. It's easier depending on the type of component. First thing I need to do is attach that visual to the data variable that I just created on the screen. And you'll see here it is. We say to do and save. And now you'll see it recognizes that it's
सेम हमने किया है कि भाई हमको जो इस पे करना है क्रिएट रिकॉर्ड करना है हमने कहा कि भैया बाइनरी डेटा तो ओके पता नहीं क्यों फालतू में आ जा रहे हैं मुझे लग रहा है ना मैप नहीं हो रहा है कि जो ये तो ठीक है पर इसमें जो वैल्यू जाएगी ना कस्टम वाली तो ये तो मैप हो गई कि ये पेज वेरिएबल में स्टोर हो जाए मेरे को लग रहा है ये फिर रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं तो ये वाले कस्टम ईमेल में जाएगा डेटा वेरिएबल पेज पैरामीटर डेटा वेरिएबल पेज वेरिएबल यूजर ईमेल सेव पासवर्ड में जाएगा डेटा वेरिएबल पेज पैरामीटर डेटा वेरिएबल डेटा नहीं डेटा पेज वेरिएबल पासवर्ड सेव हमें बोलेंगे ये मुझे लग रहा है इंपोर्ट होता होगा ये भी तो आता है होम पेज पे आता है कैसे तो करके कुछ तो आता है हाँ समझ गया हमको समझ गए भाई लोग हमने ना उसको मैप नहीं किया था बेसिकली हमने बेसिकली लॉजिक क्या है इनका कि कोई भी वेरिएबल है उसको लोकल में स्टोरेज कर लो लोकल से उसको मैप कर लो अपनी एपीआई में तो हमने यहाँ से कनेक्शन वाला कर लिया था कि भाई ये यहाँ से जो इनपुट वेरिएबल है ये इसके डीबीसी लोकल से वो उसमें स्टोर हो रहा था बट जो स्टोर वैल्यू वो सेंड नहीं हो रही थी जो एपीआई हो रही थी वो हमेशा एम्प्टी ही कॉल हो रही थी तो इसलिए इनवैलिड कंडीशन दे रहा था तो अब देखो ना देखो सक्सेस हुआ तो ये आया अब हमें रिस्पॉन्स सेव करना है हमको अब हमको रिस्पॉन्स सेव करेंगे तो यार एक चीज है जैसे प्रॉपर्टीज तो ये हो गई कि भाई कस्टम प्रॉपर्टीज ऐड करने हैं तो कभी तक कुछ समझ में नहीं आया ये स्टोर करने वाला समझे हमको हमारी प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि हाँ ये उसने कभी स्टोर थोड़ा किया है भाई इस वाले में जो है कभी स्टोर तो किया ही नहीं तो इसीलिए स्टोर नहीं किया इसमें हमें देखना है कि वो स्टोर कैसे होता है अभी कुछ है क्या? कुछ अच्छा सकता है तो नींद आ रही है ना, भटूरे खा लिए था आज। हाँ क्रिएटिव साइन इसमें ऊपर एडमिशन को
When you create a new table and have the create, read, update, and delete APIs created on your behalf, they start as disabled. But in this case, they're all enabled now for authentication, which is why our app is no longer showing to-dos. So we're going to get into the authentication API, which impacts the user table. Let me currently show you that authentic API. To count one, if it has a password, you'll see that our inputs, we're getting a name and the very first step email that we passed in. You saw when I started this that there was nobody in the user table. And will based on probably show you where this is found. Authentication token. The thing, this will allow reuse all of the auth. I would show you, go into the functions. Here is where you information is. Okay, so that's how that gets set up. The one I was showing, at least I think we do. So on is called authorization. So we are going to call it the same. Effectively, we can show you how to set up our data resource, the to-do data resource that's been there, to accept an authorization or an authentication, even though they call it authorization, an authorization header. So we're in our to-do data resource up here. We're in the base. We want to put it into the base because we want this authorization header to apply to all of this data resource. So I'm going to create a new HTTP header. And the HTTP header is called authorization.
तो basically क्या है कि what ये क्या सोच रहे हैं, मतलब what they I think implemented try to कि भाई जितनी भी sign up के बाद API है सब में authorization token जाए ऐसा header में जाता है, सिंपल है ना. तो ये header पास कर रहे हैं और ये header आएगा sign up के थ्रू something कुछ ऐसा.
Standards. So we're doing as they want, and then we're going to paste in the value. Nice long value there.
अब ये static value पास कर रहा है, but it definitely dynamic होने वाली है.
But what goes at the beginning of it, since this is called a bearer token, we have to type in the string bearer and a space. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. So at this point, I am going to go into the create record post. Nope, that's not where I want to go yet. I want to go into the get collection one. And before, you see we get our information back. And just to show you there is no magic here, I am going to remove that bearer token, come back to the get collection, and when I run the test, it fails. And you see that it's got authentication required. So I'm going to go back and add in the value. And there we go. And also, if we look here, we now have our stuff back. So that's how you go about creating a secure application. But this is only at a rudimentary testing level. We obviously want to tie all of this in to the signups here. I need to come into the authorization or the authentication menu. And I should just warn you, for whatever reason, I tend to say authorization instead of authentication. Authentication is very specifically proving who you are, and authorization is what you're allowed to do within an app. So even if I may say it wrong, that is the meaning, authentication versus authorization. So we are going to enable authentication, and it's going to be direct third-party authentication. And we're going to accept what they're going to do.
AppGyver में ऑटोमेटिकली ऑथेंटिकेशन होता ही है।
They're going to make changes to our app for us, and we're fine with that. And there we go. Okay, so they have created a login page for us and some variables.
कह रहे हैं कि भाई इन्होंने ऑथेंटिक हमें तो ओ क्योंकि वो साइन अप से मैच कर रहे होगा तो इसलिए नहीं थी। ओ
And so here you can see we now have login, but like I said, we actually want to address sign up ahead of doing login. So I'm going to add.
ओके वो ओनली लॉगिन पेज ऑटोमेटिकली बनाता है जो उन्होंने बनाया है ये जो उन्होंने बनाया है। भाई गदर कुछ होता है भाई ये तो गदर ये
Add a page as well. I guess quickly and yet clearly I can go through this process. What we're looking to do now before I just start running down a path is word that I will put into an app variable that
साइन अप ना ये साइन अप है। एक इमेज और ऐड कर देते हैं। यहीं से यूज करने का देना चाहिए ना ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप कुछ देते ही नहीं है। ये मेरे को समझ नहीं आज तक कि ये इसकी हाइट कैसे हो कंट्रोल हाइट कंट्रोल यूट्यूब है इसकी अल्टीमेट क्या है इनको कि कभी हाइट ही हो ये लग रहा है कंटेनर के अंदर रखना पड़ेगा फोकस करते मेन चीज पे यार फालतू की चीजों पे फोकस कर
It will then be used by the to-do APIs to let me get access to the data in the application. So that's the goal of what we're doing. We have a screen here that we're going to turn into the we are going password last is password field. Yes. Because of
अरे मुझे कुछ मैसेज आया है मेरे व्हाट्सएप पे
it'll put the asterisks in for you. Okay, so for the email, we're not going to mess with the value and such yet. I'm going to create another variable before we do that. But I do want to change the keyboard type or function default setup button, put that in it, and this will be put an image at the top. That could be a logo, or at this point, I've set up the screen that I'm going to be and set up the data resource that will be the sign up resource. We're going to just call this sign up, user sign up, and I need to go get the resource URL from Xano. So we come into the APIs again. Sign up is where we're going. Click on the endpoint URL, puts it into the
36 minutes हो गए
clipboard, and there we go. Okay, so at this point, I have sign up as a base URL setting. In this case, we're not going to use any of the gets. We're going to use the create record because a sign up is actually creating a user record. And you'll notice I get a blank screen. You need to look over here to the right, and you'll see that you need to turn this item on. And then what we need to do is create the data that's going to get passed in. So in this case, we need to create the schema, the data elements, the JSON structure as it would be that gets passed in. And
ये वाला भी इम्पोर्टेंट है from teacher post schema did this data back user login post schema
it's going to be name, email. So we're going to give it a key of name. The title will be the same. That will be text. And then I shouldn't save it because it keeps moving me to the base. Okay, so go back to schema. This time we're going to put in email. I'm going to leave that as text type, even though we could probably make it an email type. And then pass from us, password. The custom custom object. If I go into test, I should see it in the custom object, and the name is going to be.
Yes, हमने क्या किया भी सेम ये किया है ना टेस्ट कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट नेम पासवर्ड परफेक्ट बैक यूजर ऑथ पोस्ट टू टेस्ट पता नहीं कैसे किया वो
Test, save that and run a test. Be there. Okay, so what we've proven is that the functioning API in Xano can now successfully be called from AppGyver. And so now we're going to just work our way back up. Let me go ahead and save. Okay, so I need a variable to hold this. I am going to do two things at once because I need that variable, but I also need to remember to create the data variable that is sign up. Okay, and that is a new data record that I'm going to do for that one.
हमने क्या है कि हमने किया डाटा वेरिएबल है ना हमने इसे ये किया तो हमने कंफाइन किया
Remember we were doing a post or creating a record, creating a user record. I'm going to get rid of the one. I've been forgetting to get rid of that, but don't really like it. Okay. And now I need a page variable because I need to collect the information that gets typed in. So this will be sign up. And we are going to make this a type of object. I can create sign up direct. Sign up. We're going to call that name. So just pass sign up directly into the API call. So there is sign up. And we get a default property name, but we're going to call that name. It's going to be text. And then we're going to go back up to sign up. And you add the new properties here. So I'm clicked on the sign up, come over to add new property, and I am going to have email. I'm going to have password. Okay, those are the three elements or the three data elements that will get added in here. Go ahead and save that. Go back to the view. Okay, so now I want to attach the value. It'll be a data, be a page variable, it'll be sign up, and I'm going to pick name. Actually, was that email? See, I've already forgotten. Pretty sure it was email. Yeah. Okay, so email, and then name, and then password. Data.
एक ही बताओ अगर मैं पेज वेरिएबल में बात करें यहाँ पे अगर हम सिंपली बात करें साइन अप ऑब्जेक्ट है name, email, password.
Page, sign up to value. Okay, to that tap on sign up, I want to create a record. Because we're creating sign up. Now we have two of them. And it picked sign up. Now we have two of them, but it picked sign up. And we want to pick a, what do we have here? I'm going to go to the data variable, pick sign up there. So in this case, I select the page variable of sign up. Since it's an object, it shows me all of the object. And since I'm associating this variable with three objects or three properties to the sign up data variable, since they match, they both have three text properties, I'm able to just associate the whole object with it instead of one property at a time. And then just for a temporary moment, I am going to create an alert. If we succeed, I'm going to call this off token. And I'm going to go into optional inputs. And I'm going to pick output value of another node, which is going to be the create record. And I'm going to pick the response. So the goal here will be if we sign up correctly, that we'll see that auth token show up in here. And if we don't sign up correctly, if something fails, I'm going to associate toast, which is just a temporary pop-up that shows the error. So let's go ahead and say that if the output value of another node, create record, is the error message. Next, two output ports. The top one is that because when I click on the details and says output at port 1 is the successful response, and output at port 2 is error. So if you noticed, when I drug the line over to here, I had a different set of data that I could pick from.
अगर इसका मतलब यही है, साइन अप दिस करते हैं, तो ये इसको हटाओ, इसको हटाओ, वेरिएबल नेम हो गया, असाइंड वैल्यू पेज वेरिएबल, हाँ लोकल में एप वेरिएबल में एप टोकन आ जाना चाहिए, है ना? एप वेरिएबल टोकन आना चाहिए और एप वेरिएबल असाइन हो जाएगा। एप वेरिएबल दिस और असाइंड वैल्यूज की हो गई, बिल्कुल सेव हो गया। अंकल ने बड़ा सही मेरे को दिया, पर्सपेक्टिव आता है, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता ना चीज से। अरे उस लॉगिन वाले पेज आया, अरे यार वो हो गया ना, अब मेरे को ऑथ में जाना पड़ेगा, लॉगिन छोड़ के एम्प्टी वाले पे सेट कर देता हूँ ना, सिंपल। लॉगिन किया, अरे यार ये वो हो गया, बट हेडर में जाएगा ना, हेडर में जब तक कुछ नहीं लगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा, जब तक कुछ नहीं होगा। एक इसमें वैल्यू आएगी, यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट आएगा, टाइटल, नहीं, लिंक आएगी ना, टाइटल है इसके अंदर, मार्जिन आएगा टॉप में, मार्जिन आएगा 24 का, और इसका क्या होता है वो Already on Coursera. मैंने ना एक तो वो रखनी चाहिए कि मतलब बेसिकली एक तो ये होना चाहिए कि रैप कंटेंट का कॉन्सेप्ट होना चाहिए, जैसे एंड्रॉइड में रैप कंटेंट का कॉन्सेप्ट है। इसको बोल्ड बोल्ड ही छोड़ो, इसको करते हैं सेंट्रल लाइन, है ना, बिल्कुल परफेक्ट। अभी है इसकी साइज टाइपोग्राफी में आता हूँ मैं, फॉन्ट मॉन्टेज फंक्शन रन देते हैं, वैसे मॉन्टेज सही लगता है। फॉन्ट स्टाइल नॉर्मल सेमी बोल्ड की जगह कर देते हैं इसको लाइट, हो गया। अरे मॉन्ट्रियल में क्या वो होता नहीं है लाइट, अच्छा फॉन्ट साइज को छोटा कर देते हैं। हाँ ठीक है, इसका कलर टेक्स्ट कलर को थोड़ा चेंज कर देते हैं, अंडरलाइन कर देते हैं, ठीक है। इसके बाद में इसको कर देते हैं अंडरलाइन, कैसे करेंगे, एक्सपेक्टेड कैरेक्टर। आया क्यों नहीं, अगर वैल्यू होती, अरे यार ये भी तो कंप्लीट करना है मेरे को। लॉगिन एक साथ और लॉगिन एक साथ। जब मैंने इसका देखा तो हमको सक्सेस पे पहले मैं इसमें टोकन आना चाहिए ना, सिर्फ ऐप वेरिएबल तो मोस्ट डॉट अंकल का ही देखना पड़ेगा।
Response record, and when I drug it over to the toast, I had an error message, and that was because of where these lines are exiting the create record. So that makes it really handy to handle success and error conditions. Okay. What are the chances that I've done anything right on this one? I do know the one thing I need to do is I created a sign up page, but there's no way to get to it. It's just out there on its own. The login page is the default page at this point. So I am going to very simply create the ability to get to that page. So I'm going to put a container with a row, with a button. I'm going to do a little styling on this button here. It's not going to And then we'll do our now to, and they give you an option to create a new account. Create this one yet, but we're going to. Those would just be two nice links, which is why I did the row with the two cells. New account, and guess what? Try, and okay. Looks like I need to. There we go. Let's get the app to start over real quick. So we start on our login. Okay. So now I should be able to click on create new account, which takes me to that screen. And I am going to be, so there we have it. We have now created a sign up that's successful because we have an auth token. But what we have created at this point is the ability to create user accounts, as you can see here. So we now have, from the mobile app in AppGyver, through the APIs, the ability to create a brand new user account, get the auth token, and what I'll do in the next video is show you how to handle the auth token and associate that with the login screen. We might even do the automatic login capabilities most apps have. We're doing sign resource, and so I'm going to get things set up here, and we screen that I left login. Okay, so
हो क्या हो गया भाई अरे मेरा वो कहाँ गया कीबोर्ड क्या करो कीबोर्ड
let's see what we've got here. We are going to start with the AppGyver mobile app aspect of this. Maybe do a little bit of cleanup because I realized that my failure message, come up with an image I did. So clean up to around 5 minutes to upload an image. I may already have it uploaded. And I noticed we're in the sign up page, and this was the top image section that we had. I'm going to go ahead and change dimensions and position. Go. Save that. Enter. And go. Save that.
Okay, see what you
go. Set space that and are good. After over, and we can actually come into the background color. But maybe this is a good time to spend a minute on the theme, because we see that color informative is spend a minute, and we can actually, and I can just copy and paste, and we can actually come into the sign up and change this background color. But maybe this is a good time to spend a minute on the theme, because we see that color informative is the theme variable that's being used. As opposed to changing it on just one button, I am going to go ahead and go into the theme section, and So if I change this, made the green well, no, internet, you'll find yourself, you'll say, okay, so we've changed the color was images so that you can see that. Here we are back in the app. I'm going to select create new account. And if we, I think I have a TA1 at email set up. Here we go. See that JSON there? It says it's already, see if we can pull this off. There we go. See that JSON there? It says it's already in use. Into here, we're going to use a formula because we need to dig a little bit into that JSON. So this is what was originally there for an error message. Let me just see, there we go. I got rid of the tail end of the text so that AppGyver would show me all my options. And I think we want to go with the raw error. But the key to that is we also want to be able to pick the message because that was the JSON key out of that. So we want lookup. There we go. Oh, and I just got rid of my object stuff, but we can fix that because we know it was output of another node and we know it was raw error. There we go. So now it inserted for me output, create records, raw error. And here I just need to put the key that we saw. It came up and went pretty quick, but I think what we have will look already exists. Sign up. There we go. The color scheme, call that good for the login effort. So we know that coming out of create record, when we successfully create a record, we're going to dismiss the initial view, which will then take us to the to-do list. But the one thing that I realized after I ended the video last time is that would be successful way too often because within the to-do, I still have a hard-coded bearer. So we are going to get rid of that bearer token. And what we're going to need to do is set a variable in the data variable that passes in this authorization value, which is the resource. So I now have my data resource for the to-do set up so that it won't automatically log me in around security. So let's go ahead and go back to our screens. Look at one thing here. This is set to static. Actually, I should show you this too. So I'm getting distracted, but if you create a property, in this case, an HTTP header, and you leave it as static, normally this should show up in your data variable on the screen. So let's go show you what I learned the hard way. That if we are in our to-do list and we go to variables and we click on data variable and to-do one, there is no authorization header here. So I have no way of associating that authorization header. And for a few minutes earlier, I was confused on why I did not see that. So pay attention to what you see here under the collection, single, and we're in the base, authorization. What I discovered is I can't have it as static, obviously, because static means that we're going to have a value set here and not allow it to be set anywhere else. So when I save that change, having
कि अगर मेरा लॉगिन वाला पेज है उसमें डेटा था यूजर लॉगिन में पोस्ट था कि
turned off static, and I go back to the screen I was on, there's my authorization header. Yay. Pretty simple, but it confused me for a little while, so I thought I would share. Now, what we can do is we want to pass in an authorization token that we got off of the sign up. So I'm going to look at the app variables because we had created an auth token variable right here. And I need to set that to the authorization here. So let's go data and variables. I clicked on authorization. We're going to pick data and variables. We're going to pick an app variable, and we're going to choose auth token. So when we fill in auth token, we're going to be passing that back to Xano. And in good fashion, I need to do it a little bit differently, because I don't know if you remember, but I just did. We're not going to be able to just pass in auth token, because what HTTP expects is that we've specified bearer. I went back and base onto the front of it. It's set up. Okay, so the auth token set up for it, which means we're going to go do a login. So for the login, and our button is blue because it's part of our theme, or blue, green as opposed to blue because we have set our theme to make all buttons green. So when I click on login, this is the default information that AppGyver put in place.
मेरा ये लॉगिन बटन है इसमें करते हैं login with credential.
When we originally turned on the auth value on this main menu here. But it doesn't do anything other than tell us we're logging in with credentials and setting a variable, but it doesn't actually do a login for us. So I'm going to delete those. We will want the dismiss initial view when we've successfully logged in. So what I need to do is go back to Xano, and I need to prove. Here we go. Am I in the right app? Let's make sure I am. And you know, I'm probably not through the right account. So again, it's the login and the response to make sure if we can't. So there we go. So in what we do on the table about so functions, a quick check password on that. And if we're an app, so I gave me all this. Okay, so a host first, and it's going to be email for the key. Okay, don't save yet. Okay, so now if we look at our custom.com, can we do? Okay, so once again, from our data up approach, we've proven that everything works in Xano. We've stepped it into, I now have my mobile app. So let's head back to our login screen. Things should be pretty straightforward from here. Now, our variable, it's credentials.username, and the same page variable, credentials object, and password. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to tie, we're going to not use sign up. We're going to come over here and pick the login. And then we are going to pick that data variable, credentials, incompatible, object with two properties. Okay, I need to probably take a moment here while we're looking at this and figure out what about credentials doesn't match password, username to what I just created. So I'm going to take a second without pausing and see if it will become obvious to me, heading back to data and log in and create record post in the schema. I have email and password. I was able to log in and create record. I picked login for the data variable and the resource. And then what I wanted to do, does this custom op? Oh, there we go. That's my problem. I have an obsolete one here. So since it defaulted to sign in the resource name, it also defaulted to the sign in record properties. And I hadn't seen this before. It's hung on to the definition of the sign in. If you're trying to figure, delete this. What you do is pick the no value. Value option, and it magically goes away. You'll run into that on occasion. I forget every time I come back into record properties of the page variable, and if I don't fix this in short order, I'll do a quick pause, find it, and then tell you so you don't have to. Data and variables. I mean, my other option is I just use a formula, but I'm kind of expect type object with. Okay, so you know what I'm going to go to formula pause. We're going to end up being more obvious than you expect, doesn't it? And it ends up being more on that page author API or use is to go into the page variable and change username to be email so that it matches what my API expects. Again, create record. Here's where I was running into the problems, but now we're going to go to page variable credentials, and boom, all's happy. So all it was is the name of the properties and the number of the properties. So at this point, we have a login that's using username here, but obviously, yeah, I have it changed. Create record, we've got the credential. We are going to want to set the app variable. So we are going to go back up to set app variable. If you remember when we did the API, it sends us an auth token, and we have a variable name here that's an app variable. It already knows that it needs to do an app variable, and that's the only one we have is auth token. The reason it knows it is that's the flow function we're using. So what I'm going to assign to that app variable is output from another node to create record, the auth token. Okay. So that means I now have an app variable, and if you remember earlier, we associated that app variable of auth token to the to-do list authorization. So also nubbin here is the good response to, and I'm going to just in case something goes wrong, let's put in backend. Okay, so I'm forgetting something again, and we can't the emulator.
भाई मैंने भी तो सेम यही किया है कल मेरा तो नहीं चल रहा साइन अप करेंगे ना हम तो सबसे पहले sign up this sign up set variable response dot perfect button पे dismissal navigation में था ना अरे तो भाई हो क्यों नहीं रहा इसमें का initial view and load अरे यार हाँ हम अभी देखो कल जैसे हमने किया था ना डिबग में ओपन कर देता है। अरे क्यों नहीं चल रहा आज क्या हो गया इसका? हाँ मैं तुम्हें दिखाता हूँ आपको कुछ तो था ना कल। और मेरा QR कोड अरे तो कनेक्टेड है। अगर तो फोन तो कनेक्ट कर रहा हूँ। स्टार्ट नाउ। वेट आ गया। ऐप तो अभी देखिएगा इसको अभी OBS में जाकर तो सेट करना होता है बबुआ। दिखेगा मेन करके यहाँ पे कर देते हैं। ठीक है अभी हम अरे कनेक्टेड में कहाँ गया वो? यार बड़ा पैसा है बार बार इसको कनेक्ट करना पड़ता है। मैंने नहीं याद कि मुझे लगे अरे हो गया तो अभी हम चलेंगे सेलेक्ट। अरे डिटेल कहाँ से होती ठीक है। अब हम रन करेंगे इसको। हम साइन अप करेंगे। साइन अप पे लगाया ना देखते हैं ना। यस साइन अप पे लगाया। अभी हम चेक करेंगे कि डेटा होता नहीं होता। t1@gmail.com ज्वाइन पर अनडिफाइंड आ रहा है ना। वैल्यू एंटर ही नहीं हो रही है तो मेरे को लग रहा है कि यहाँ पे कुछ कांड हुआ। यार यही तो है इनको साइन अप दे और अगर मैं यहाँ पे टोकन क्लियर कर दूँ अगर मैं अरे सेट ये करना था Xano। मैंने क्या किया, मैं भूल ही गया। अब चलेगा, अब तो 100% चलना चाहिए। तुम्हें क्या दिख रहा है गाइस, दिख रहा है ना प्रॉपर कि मैं कुछ कांड करे बैठा हूँ। ये तुम वैसा क्यों दिख रहा है, ब्लड सा दिख रहा है ना। ब्लड क्यों दिख रहा है, अरे तुम हैंग ही हो गए भाई, मुझे लग रहा है। अरे वो इसमें देखते हैं क्या दिक्कत है भाई वो इसका। पता नहीं मेरे को क्यों ब्लड हो रहा है वो। तो दोबारा करते हैं ना इसको। दोबारा ऐड कर रहे हैं विंडोज कैप्चर मोबाइल। ओके विंडोज कैप्चर की जगह जो आपके मेन ऑटोमेटिक ब्लड आ रहा है, कैप्चर कर सब मल्टी। नहीं नो आइडिया। अरे ये मूव भी नहीं हो रहा, तो कुछ तो कांड किए हैं। मोबाइल ऑटोमेटिक मेन। भाई ये पता नहीं क्यों मूव क्यों नहीं हो रहा। मुझे नहीं पता भाई। अरे यार ये तो मूव कुछ नहीं हो रहा। मुझे नहीं पता भाई ये हुआ क्या है। अभी के लिए दोस्तों ऐसे ही काम चला लो, मैं नहीं करने वाला हूँ इसको। ऐप प्रीव्यू मिरर QR कोड कैन QR कोड स्टार्ट नाउ। क्यों ये नहीं हो रही भाई। अरे लॉक कर दिया इसको मैंने, अभी तो सब कुछ सही है। ठीक है। अरे अभी तक तो ठीक था, पता नहीं यार कुछ तो इशू है। और इसमें ऐप चलाते हैं, AppGyver ऐप है। मोबाइल में कुछ ज़्यादा ही चीज़ बड़ी फटती मेरी। gmail.com। अब मेरे को देखना है ब्राउज़र, तो मैं कर लूँ, यहाँ पे दिख रहा है यार, अभी भी नहीं आया। नॉट कनेक्टेड, इरिटेट कर दिया यार इसने तो। क्या है कि बार बार कनेक्ट करना पड़ता, बार बार कनेक्ट करना। मैं तो इरिटेट हो गया लिटरली इससे तो। बार बार ही किसको कनेक्ट करना पड़ता है। हो जाता है क्या ऑटोमेटिकली? पेज वेरिएबल, हाँ ये इंटरव्यू हो जाता है। यस हमको, यस फाइनली वी आर एबल टू मैनेज इट। थैंक्स थैंक यू अंकल, जस्ट फॉर द अंकल देयर इज अ माफ यार। कुछ भी नहीं था, सिंपली इसको एप्पल से कनेक्ट करना था, हम बस गलत वो कर रहे थे, हमें डायरेक्टली इसके रिस्पॉन्स पर मैनेज कर। सक्सेस हो गया, ओके हो गया। अब एक व्यू बनाएंगे कल, लॉगिन सेट करेंगे और वो करेंगे, व्यू बनाएंगे कल कि फर्दर कैसे होगा लॉगिन के बाद। तो कैसे कैसे क्या रहेगा वो चीज़ बनाएंगे। ओके गाइस, बाय बाय। इफ या एक मिनट, अंकल ने बहुत हेल्प की तो अंकल के लिए थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम था भाई। अंकल बहुत इन डेप्थ दे रहे हैं, ये वाले पे जाओ स्टीव स्टाइव करके और अंकल को सब्सक्राइब कर दो। अगर तुम्हें देखना है कि कैसे करते हैं क्या करते हैं तो अंकल को मैसेज करो, अंकल रिप्लाई भी कर रहे हैं। ये अंकल खुद कर रहे हैं तो हेल्प करो भाई, कुछ भी हो। बस लव फ्रॉम, लाइक सब्सक्राइब करो, देखो देखो कुछ ऐड हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा मेरी लाइफ में, और फोकस किया करो। अभी यूट्यूब वीडियो देखो तो वैल्यू ऐड होनी चाहिए, फैन बना कर ठीक तरह। चलो बाय बाय।